Hi, EJ here. Sorry to repeat myself. I've had to start again. Hi, I'm EJ, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's space is TERF Anonymous, where TERFs will speak anonymously or otherwise about being TERF. Maybe you've been called a TERF. Maybe you are a proud TERF. Maybe you just wonder what a TERF is, but you're all welcome here. I've invited many today with a strong emphasis on women, although men are welcome too, because men can be TERFs as well, and anyone in between. I think this is a big topic and a sensitive one. I believe still that it is necessary that we have this discussion. Anyone is welcome to listen, and this is being recorded, so people may tune in afterwards if they wish. I have some statements and opinions to read out, sent to me in advance and in confidence. I'm very new to Twitter Spaces, and I have no co-host, so please bear with me as I try to find my way. I'll be doing my best to make sure as many people can speak as possible. So I'll be shooting out a lot of speaker invites, left, right, and centre. Don't worry, I won't take it personally if you do not wish to speak today. I just want to make sure that everyone is given the opportunity to do so. Equally, if I accidentally miss you, please send me a speaker request or drop me a DM, and I'll try and check them as often as I can. Today, TERFs speak on being TERFs. Disclaimer, this is an 18 plus space. If you're under 18, please do not listen live. You may listen after, but please only if a parent or guardian has listened first. So, let's begin. I'm going to start to send out some speaker invites, and yeah, come on in, introduce yourself. You can use a screen name, or you can use your own name, and yeah, tell us all about being a TERF, or your opinions on turfery.
Hello? I'm speaking. Can somebody hear me?
Pat, hi, welcome.
Hi. Hi. I guess we've never spoken. I've listened to your spaces for a while now, and I've
Hi,
never had the
welcome.
nerve to say
Nice
anything.
to have you
So,
here.
hi, I'm
I
a
can hear
singer
you
from
lovely.
Germany. Oh, good. I'm a singer. I live in Germany, in Berlin, and I'm I've become a TERF. Actually, I haven't really thought about it much because I always thought I was really tolerant, and I was thinking that everyone's the same and everyone should be treated the same. I just have a problem now with a friend of mine who I went to college with, and he's now a she, and he keeps attacking J.K. Rowling, and I really have problems with that because I think what she says is very important, and I think that women's spaces should be kept up. And now we're arguing, and now he's put me on the spot, and he's told me that I should say are trans women women, and I really don't know what to say because I think bear with me because I'm new to this thing, and it's for me it's like, okay, if you want to be a woman, that's fine, but you have to respect my space as a woman as well. And if you want to change from a man to a woman, you have to accept that I have to learn to live with it first. And he's very intolerant towards women who are like a bit I don't know,
Oh no, Pat, are you
reserved
there?
to him because
I can't hear you. Can someone give me a thumbs
yes.
up if you can hear Pat?
Oh, sorry. Oops. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. I see hands going up, so probably people can hear me, but Rosetta can't.
I can now.
Okay.
All good. Sorry about that. Carry on.
Damn, I don't know where I was. Anyway, just this thing. What am I going to say now? Because I have to reply, and I really have to, like, in German you say "let my pants down" and show what I really think about this thing. And I hate to be intolerant, and I don't want to be intolerant, but at the same point, I'm seeing that he is so intolerant, especially concerning J.K. Rowling. And I think she's done such a brilliant job in voicing, in being a woman's voice in this whole thunderstorm of people taking up women's spaces, that I think it's very important that she keeps saying what she says. And I wish that people weren't so violent in their discussions. I think we can discuss and we can talk about everything, but I think it's so terrible how violent people have become, and how many people are actually sending her death threats and things like that. And like, being able to voice your own thoughts is so difficult because of this violence that's being put forth. So that's basically my point of view right now. I've got a hot face, Jesus. Hello.
I think it sometimes takes that. It sometimes takes to like reach the end of your tether, otherwise known as getting peaked, to sort of finally say what you mean, you know?
Yeah. But I don't know how do you deal with these things? How do you put a biological situation in a psychological situation? I mean, it's like, if he obviously or she obviously feels that she's a woman, but she is not biologically a woman. And I have problems with this because I can't wrap my brain around this. It's just, I don't know. I'm a bit older, and I just realized that it's very hard for me, because I just don't know how I don't know how to deal with this, because I see things happening but it's just people are changing so much. How is it possible that you can change your gender, and that you can just say that, okay, now I'm a woman? I mean, when I was a child, I
Yeah.
wanted to be a boy for a short while, and then I'm glad that nobody actually
Same.
condoned this, and like led me down the other path, because I mean, it's a very confusing time, as a young person. So I
Yeah, when I was a
lost.
teenager, I thought I was Avril Lavigne. I had hair just like Avril Lavigne, and yeah, I dressed like Avril Lavigne, but I wasn't Avril Lavigne.
No, I don't get you.
It was a phase. It passed, and I think Avril Lavigne. See you later, boy. I'll see you after the show. I can't sing, but there it is. Anyway, that's the song. Um, she was sort of just getting big when I was a teenager, and yeah, I thought I was Avril Lavigne, and my mum was like, "Yeah, fair enough. Well, you can buy all when I got we got clothes every Christmas, and I wanted black cords and a jacket, like a green velvet jacket that was just a crime against humanity, to be honest. But I'm kidding. But yeah, I grew out of it.
So can you give me a tip what I'm going to say to this person? I know they're
The,
gonna block me either way, so I probably
the
might as
person
well.
who
I
does
think.
the person, when you say person, do you mean like a male, female, man, woman?
Actually, he was a man. His name was Michael, and now his name is Mai. So he's now a woman, and he hasn't. I don't think he's gone through the transition yet. He's just well, he's just declared that he's a woman. So yeah, well,
Okay.
I I don't know. And I mean, I accept him. I accept this situation, that he wants to be the person that he wants to be, and that's very okay for me. But I don't accept the hateful way that he makes it hard for people to like keep in their part of the court, because I mean, is saying things like, well, TERFs don't deserve to live, or stuff like that. That really like drives me up the wall. That really makes me very angry, because I think we are all,
Yeah,
this is a new situation for all of us, and we have to start living with this, and we have to start dealing with this. And I would very much wish that people would be more loving or more kind to each other. That's basically the only thing that I really want. And I don't want to get into this terrible discussion with someone that I actually like, um, where we're throwing things at our heads, and being hateful to each other. But I don't know, it's also very hard for me to like accept that more and more people are taking up women's spaces, and that women who are like definitely have had problems with men being violent to them are having problems with this. I've been very lucky, I've always worked with men. I like to work with men. I like men, and I've had very few dangerous experiences with men. So, but I can understand that there are women out there who are scared and who don't want their space to be taken up by men. And I think we should be able to have that kind of discussion. And I think that's the discussion
yeah,
that we're not able to have, because there's a lot of people shouting out there and saying, I don't want to hear it, and that's it.
I agree. I think I have a lot of trans friends and a lot of like non-binary and genderqueer and gender fluid friends, and there's a level of respect, when you've known someone that long and you count them as one of your dearest friends. You wouldn't want to do anything to hurt or upset them. But in real life, I've only ever had like 99.9% of trans people are respectful in real life. Online, totally different matter,
Mm.
not so much. But in real life, I've never had a trans woman say to me, I'm a woman in exactly the same way that you're a woman. And I'm happy to use, pronouns. And yeah, I've known someone since I was 13 who, oh, careful with your words, EJ, but you know what I mean, was
Mhm.
born male, but is now a woman. And yeah, but we have that mutual respect. Even Posie Parker, Kellie-Jay Keen, who's a big advocate of women's rights, and one of the things that she refuses to do is to misgender someone in her eyes, which is to call a male she her, or a female he him. But there's a YouTuber called Blair White, and even Posie Parker will say they them, which is, I love that. I think that shows Posie Parker in a really good light, because there's a mutual respect there, and I think that's what we need to get back to, is that mutual respect.
May I ask one question? Um,
Sure.
if you like, people are saying about their pronouns and stuff like that. I'm really new to this because I don't have very many. I have actually just one trans friend as of now, and basically they don't have any they don't use any pronouns, and we're speaking German anyway, so we have a different kind of anyway. But it doesn't matter. The question is, if you say that somebody says that they want to be called they them, when exactly do I say they them to them? Because that would probably only be when I talk about them in the third person, right?
Yeah, it's confusing, isn't it? Especially she they, or he they is one of the ones
That's the
that
one.
confused me most. I went so far down into the rabbit hole of non-binary, the transcendence of gender, and gender is a social construct, so we don't need it anymore, that I denounced my womanhood and came out as they them, not to everyone but to a lot of people. um, and something brought me back from it, and I am a woman, always have been a woman, always will be a woman.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. Tiffany, I see you've got your hand up. Hi, welcome. Come on in. I also see someone who's got my face with blue hair, so I'm very sorry. Um, I think that's a little bit out of order, so I'm not going to put you up as a speaker. If you'd like to remove my face, then by all means come up and speak, because I'd love to hear from everyone. But using my image, my face without my permission is yeah, a little bit weird and stalkery, and I'd like to ask you to stop that. So Tiffany, come on in, welcome.
Hey, yeah. There were a couple of people who had their hands up before me. Jean Hatchett is one, and then the other one is
Sorry,
the Sword and Stone. So, if you want to go
my
back
bad.
and yeah.
I've got my glasses on my head, not on my eyes. Let me put them on the right place. Okay. What a gent you are. All
No
right,
worries.
Sword and the Stone, come on in, welcome.
I'm going to pass the baton to Jean because I think it's important.
Cool. I love this because every time I've held a space with men and women, men just talk, whereas women are like, after you. And I love that. Jean, welcome. Come on in. Thanks for coming.
You see, I was going to say to Tiff, go ahead, because, you know, it makes no odds who goes first. I've got a feeling that Tiffany and I are going to make very, very similar points. So I'm going to let Tiffany go first. Go.
Okay, well, but please remember, this is TERF Anonymous, so talking about you, or either you've been called a TERF, you are a TERF, proudly or otherwise, or yeah, or anything to do with turfery, really. Come on in.
Yeah, proud TERF, absolutely. Just a couple of things. There was this one just kind of jumped out at me. There was a comment about Kellie-Jay Keen using they them for Blair White. I think one thing it's important to remember with regards to Blair White is that they have a massive following. Kind of to the point where sort of misgendering this person who very much acknowledges that they are male can cause you way more headache than it's not. And I think it's just sort of problematic when we say, oh, you know, women do this, or women consent to this, or women aren't complaining about this. It's the sort of fear of punishment and the fear of backlash that controls women's words and the things that women say or feel that they can say. And I just think it's really, really important to kind of not take the tack of she didn't say no, that sort of rape rhetoric, when it comes to this subject as well. There are a lot of things that women would say if it wouldn't cause them harm, including using the correct pronouns for Blair White, a man, a former MRA, like, who originally in the start of their YouTube career made a habit of talking quite badly about women and then suddenly decided they were women because the incel to transcel pipeline is very real. So yeah, that was just the main thing that I wanted to get off my chest right there. That was why I put my hand up. So on to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. Well said. I like Blair White, but I've only been watching Blair White for maybe a couple of years, so I don't know much about Blair's history. I do know quite a lot about I don't know if you know who this is, but a YouTuber called Cat Black.
Yeah, I've run into them a few times.
Yeah. Cat Black and I go back until 2015. It's an interesting story. I'll tell it if I'm asked, but I won't take up any time for myself. I can see, yeah, so Jean, and then
I do want to hear. I want to hear that story when you get around to it.
okay, I'll put it in my pocket and hopefully we'll have time for it. Sword and the Stone, come on in, and then Jean, welcome.
I'm still going to let Jean go before me.
Okay, welcome, Jean. Thanks for coming.
We're all so polite, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't know whether I should be here or not. Probably not. You might just boot me out. But I'm really concerned about today and what's been going on today. And, you know, probably some women here will say it's hypocritical of me to be the one jumping in and saying, whoa, that's out of order. Because I have personally, you know, written something this week that's been quite critical of Kellie-Jay Keen. I feel it was, you know, like as mild as I could be. Some people don't. That's fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. But what you did today was absolutely massively out of order. And whether you think we should talk about it here or not, well, we should, because
Okay, sure.
this is
Sure, let's talk
exactly
about it
that
now.
space. Right, let's talk about it now. I've had.
I'll run it down. I'll run it
All
down.
right. Hold on a minute. Let me
I've
continue
had,
speaking if I can.
well, it's from the horse's mouth, right? So, me being the horse, I joined Stand In for Women a little while ago. Now I'm disabled and housebound, largely, not so far as having a wheelchair full time, but yeah, it's a wheelchair's helpful for when I need to get out and about when I don't have the energy. It's a condition called fibromyalgia, otherwise known as ME. Pretty difficult one. Anyway, Stand In for Women's Kellie-Jay Keen. Now, Posie Parker, as a person, her and I met, and I think she's brilliant. However, Stand In for Women as an organisation, I've sent maybe 3 or 4 emails before sort of July, and then probably about 18 since then, just politely requesting, because I accidentally, instead of clicking that I wanted to be like just a member, I clicked lifetime member, and £500 was taken out of my account. Now I can't afford that, so I asked for it back, and I haven't had it back since then. Today is the 20-something of, what is it, the 25th of January, so that marks 3 months since I've been politely sending emails. And Stand In for Women used to follow me on Twitter, and since haven't, so I'm a little bit confused. But obviously I don't have an answer. I don't want to speak ill of Standing for Women, because they do a lot for women. But one of the things that Standing for Women did do was there was a journalist by the name of Joanne Walsh, I think that's how you pronounce it, who thought I was a story. Now, I don't think I'm a story. I think I'm a human woman who just wants peace and quiet. And yeah, I didn't really want to answer any questions to a journalist, because then I'd be a story. Anyway, I was about to disengage with Joanne Walsh on Twitter, because I've got a 3 strikes rule. So I'd responded 3 times with my email address saying, right, let's talk about this privately. But no, she kept responding publicly, with all sorts of things from, why did you decide to be a TRA, to what made you a woman hater and exploiter of victims, which are questions in very bad faith. As a result, I sent her a private email. This private email, at that point, I checked her profile and I'd seen that she'd only just set up a Twitter account. And I was like, I've been tricked, haven't I? This isn't a journalist at all. This is, and I hate doing this, but here I am. I was
Can't hear you if you're still talking.
We can't hear you at the moment.
raped a few years ago, and and the level of,
Not sure if you can hear us, but we
post it to
can't hear
Twitter and
you.
tag me, and I did so because Standing for Women's Twitter account vouched for.
We've lost you again. I don't think you can hear us telling you that we can't hear you.
Thumbs, and how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps
Okay.
breaking up though. So we
Okay.
missed everything. We missed everything that you just said.
Oh, fuck. Well,
Absolutely.
basically, long story short, I don't agree with the means by which this journalist was trying to get a story out of me, because I'm quite shy. I don't think I'm a story. But she was so aggressive that I thought she was the man who had raped me. So I responded in kind with an email that said, you know, please stop it. Please stop contacting me. This is getting psychotic. It took her less than 6 minutes, so I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and hope that she wasn't thinking very clearly. But it was posted to Twitter. 7,000 people saw it. Now I'm going to take myself out of the situation and say that posting the intimate, private details of a rape without the victim's consent is vile. It's vile, it's disgusting, and it's not okay. But again, it took her less than 6 minutes to do so. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe she wasn't thinking clearly. But I wouldn't have kept engaging with that journalist unless Standing for Women, their Twitter account, which I don't think is run by Kellie-Jay Keen, aka Posie Parker. So she's out of this, take her out of it. But yeah, that's the story. So I waited 3 months for a response, still haven't had one, but that's the reason why I no longer wish to be a member of Standing for Women, because they have not stood for this woman.
Can I quickly go?
Carry on. Thank you for letting me finish. Thank you.
Well, it was Jean, but I kind of maybe get your predicament a little bit in, posting that was obviously morally just not okay.
And illegal.
Well, don't you maybe suppose threatening to post the pictures of somebody's children is illegal?
Yeah, but you'll also notice I didn't post those pictures.
But you made the threat, right?
Right, so there's only
publicly
that
thousands of people have now seen.
Right, and then the next
now people think that they are at risk from you.
They're like, okay, so where was your outrage when Joanne posted the picture of the rape that I suffered? Nowhere. You know where to be seen.
Okay, so I'm not. Hang on, wait. I'm not on my proper account right now.
I didn't.
EJ.
Okay.
EJ, I'm not on my proper account right now. I've made this account to come on here tonight because I'm scared to come as me in case you make threats towards me. Now, when that happened with that person, I made sure that I commented on that, because not only did that person implicate you in that thread, but also somebody else I know making accusations about somebody else I know. And I imposed myself in that thread, and I outed that person, saying that what they were doing was disgusting. So please don't stand there and say to people that they've not done anything. There has been outrage about that being posted. Not a lot of people have seen it or commented on it, but there has been outrage about it. But equally, there's been outrage about what you've done, because what you've done is morally wrong. And you now have women who are scared of you because they're scared that you're going to make a threat about their children.
7,000.
Can I jump in, please? Can I just jump in? Because there's a lot being said here. Importantly, EJ, Joni Walsh has been quite a difficult character for quite a few women over the years, and I'm one of them. So completely understand what you're saying. However, there's no way that 6 hours ago. You're not allowing people to speak. You're not allowing people to speak. You're not allowing people to speak. And at the moment, you've got very little credibility among any of us here. So, the point is, you made that threat. And I fully understand what that threat's like, because somebody has posted pictures of my daughter. She's now 20, but they've been posting them for probably 2 years now. Might be a bit less. I'm sorry if I'm inaccurate, but it absolutely fills you with terror. So even the thought of someone saying they might do it is absolutely a dreadful thing to do. It is disgusting. And you have behaved disgustingly today. Now, you can defend yourself all day long and back again. You can run these things. You can get us all in here. You can give us a little bit of clickbait and in we come. But today, you have been disgusting towards another woman. And I'm critical of that woman at times. And I try to keep it clean. But never in 1,000,000,000 years would I ever come in on somebody else's family or their kids. It is disgusting. Now, you own it. You absolutely own that today because you did it. And whether you think she
and that's why I
cares or whether
didn't do
you
it.
think she's
That's
hard-skinned
exactly
or
why I
hard-nosed or
didn't
whatever
do it.
that you've said to defend it today, you cannot defend that behaviour. And I'm sorry, but like
People
loads
have
of women,
posted
you'll
pictures
accuse
of
them of
my
being just,
sister, my
Posie fans
niece,
or whatever.
my
I'm clearly
nephew.
not,
I
but
haven't
I'm making my
responded.
point.
This doesn't work if you speak over speakers. You really do have to let people finish speaking first.
Thank you very much for your comments. I hear you. I respect what you've got to say. But again, where were you when Johanny Walsh posted private details about a rape that I was not ready to talk about? That wasn't on, and there was no outrage about that. Everyone clapped and cheered and laughed at me. There was 3 words in the end of that, and I made a point of not posting those pictures. And by the way, I'd contacted Standing for Women like 20 times to say,
EJ, that's like a domestic abuser going, I only raised my hand to her, I didn't actually hit her. That's exactly, it's exactly the same thing.
I don't think anyone thinks that I'm going to post those pictures.
Of course they do,
yes,
because
people do.
you
They do.
threatened to. Of course they do. Women are genuinely fearful of you now. Genuinely fearful of you.
Well, I can assure you in that case that there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm not going to post.
Nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. You threatened that woman's children of exposing them on the internet. The internet, the most unsafe.
Also,
no, tell me what child of hers is a freaking adult. She's got teenage children, for goodness sake.
I'd understand your point if I'd have actually posted the pictures.
Oh, you're just like every domestic abuser out there. I didn't hit her. I just only shouted at her. I didn't hit her. I only raised my hand to her.
It was 3 words. And I wasn't actually responding to Posie Parker because honestly, I think she probably, if she had seen it, she'd have rolled her eyes and gone, I've had this a million times before. But you
are deluded beyond belief.
Okay.
If everybody goes to the comments, if you want a safe space to go to, I've posted a safe space in the comments for you.
I've really enjoyed your time.
And you won't be threatened with your children.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's get back to the topic. TERF Anonymous. I believe in unity. I believe in equality, and I believe in giving people a voice. So let's get on with that. Carry on. Who's up next? But yeah, I can promise I'm not going to be posting any pictures of Kellie-Jay Keen's or Posie Parker's kids. But yeah, her husband did very much look at my tits. But then again, a lot of people do look at my tits. I've got great tits.
It's absolutely disgusting to say this about you know what I mean? Like, what
that men look at women's tits? Men always look at women's tits.
Doing this online, it's absolutely.
I didn't start the fire. I didn't start the fire.
No, but neither did Kellie-Jay Keen. She is not her husband's keeper. Even if he did,
obviously
you can't put that at her feet.
I'm not. I'm saying,
but you did. You're putting that at her feet. You're putting it at her children's feet, and you're trying to justify it here. And I really thought when I came into this space that the first thing that was going to be out of your mouth was an apology, because that is what everyone needs.
And
not just her children.
I DM'd you my telephone number so that we could have this conversation, but you didn't call me. You decided to come on here and shout and scream. Bella,
I'm not shouting and screaming. You're speaking over me. Can you not do that, please? I've asked you before. Please, please, please. So listen, it's not me.
Okay. In that case, let's start again.
Okay.
You have my number. I really hope we can have a conversation. I woke up in a really bad mood this morning for various reasons. I've got about 6 of them, but
I know.
I won't bore you with them. Let's hear from Bella. Bella, welcome. How are you?
I'm okay. I don't want this to sound wrong way. I'm worried that you're not, and I really hope that you're going to maybe seek out a conversation with a doctor, because most people don't do this kind of thing.
I had I had a session with my therapist just this morning. She told me to fight fire with fire.
Well, I'm going to respectfully suggest you get a new therapist, because I don't think they're giving you good advice. I mean,
Possibly not, but I'm also not going to take advice from Twitter women.
Yeah, that's fine. That's great. But, we're all real people behind this, and we've all.
But I do invite you to talk about yourself and whether you're a TERF or what you feel a TERF is, and how you'd like to progress.
Well, I'm not.
The gender.
Well, it sounds like you want to interrupt me. But I'm also, and just want to add on to the other thing is, can you not see what's wrong with sending sexualized pictures of yourself, tweeting them at a gay man? I mean, we're used to J.K. Rowling getting sent, porn tweeted at her.
They were
but you
up
sent
for
those pictures
14
to a gay
minutes.
man, and
they were up for 13 minutes.
It doesn't matter how long it was up for.
Have you seen the amount of pictures that have been sent to me?
Weird sexual. No, I haven't, because I don't sort of.
They're not weird and sexual. I look amazing.
Okay, I'm not sure I've got anything, because that it is weird and sexual. You sent sort of lingerie photos of yourself to a gay man, and that you can't see that you were sexually harassing him. That's really inappropriate. I'm concerned about you. I hope you do get some proper help.
I'm going to go really shortly. I have to, but I do just want to say one last thing. You're asking women into this space to speak. You're recording it. And,
I was wearing
we are all TERF. Whether we like each other or not, we're all here. You talk over the top of people. It's ridiculous. How are we supposed to say anything? You're talking over the top of us. So I'm just going to say this one thing. I'd advise these women that are speaking for you or with you being recorded to be really, really cautious, because if you'll expose a woman as you have done today, as you'll, treat a woman as you have done today, whether it's women I like or women I don't like, it makes absolutely no difference. You are worrying. And, I just want to lay that note of caution down for the women in this space, and also just generally, because you are not really very trustworthy at the moment. And if you want to apologise for what you've done, that's fine, but you're not apologising. You're saying fight fire with fire. Well, at the minute, we should be treating you like you are fire and we're going to get burned. Right, I'm off.
Right. Those were me quoting the words of my therapist, which was fight fire with fire. She's been my therapist for 3.5 years, so I might suggest she knows you a little bit better than you do. Steph, you're up as a speaker. Would you like to come up and tell us your thoughts? Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, loud and clear. Welcome.
Fab. So yeah, I'm a TERF, and for me that includes radical feminism. And for me, radical feminism includes all women, whether we like them or not, and whether we've had a disagreement with them or not. And I just wanted to say, really, that there is never, ever, ever any reason that any of us should be threatening other women at all, whether we mean it, whether it's sarcasm or not. It's unbelievable, EJ, really.
Right, so 3 words of mine cancels out the 2.5 months of abuse that I've had. One bad morning where I woke up and found out that a friend of mine was dead, and yeah, pretty bad morning. It cancels out.
Yeah, that sounds like a really bad morning.
Yeah. So
and I'm sorry for your loss. Okay. Where was I when you lost your friend? I was with my children.
No, where were you when it was posted?
The thing with Joni Walsh
story. Yeah,
I wasn't online. I've actually only just found about.
So you didn't see
about that
but
tonight.
you saw mine. Right, okay.
I saw yours, yes. I've
Okay.
been online today. I didn't see whatever Joni posted about you. Now, Joni has
So
been
tell
a
you what, I'll
problem
make
for
you a
many
deal.
women on
I'll delete.
Twitter.
Yeah, I'll make you a deal. I'll delete the tweet.
Well, I think the damage is done, but I'm happy to hear the rest of the
And we'll
deal.
move on.
Yes,
And
just
I'll
please delete it,
apologise.
please.
Well, the damage.
I think that would be the right thing, EJ. You know, if you could let me talk for just a moment. You
Joanna
know,
did was done.
I've been raped as well. I've been raped as
I'll
well. I
apologise.
know exactly
And I
what
delete the
that's
tweet.
like. And I wouldn't want the details of that posted anywhere either. If Joni's done that, that's absolutely outrageous.
Yep.
And had I seen it, I would have had a go at Joni for it.
But
However, I
Standing
didn't
for
see
Women's
that.
Twitter
What I
account
have
liked it.
seen today,
Liked it.
that's it.
Therefore, meaning that like 1,000 more people saw it. The details of a rape that I endured that I was not ready for anyone to know about. But that was
Okay,
beyond my control.
so the SFW account liked it.
Yeah.
But for one, you know as well as anyone here does that likes can be accidental.
But it wasn't accidental. I contacted them and I said, look,
Right.
you like this. Can you unlike it, please? Because lots of people are seeing it now and it's out of my control. But I can ask you at least to delete your like, unlike it. And then they didn't.
And they didn't. Okay, so that's fair enough. You have beef. What you do not have is a reason to threaten to expose someone else's children, whether they are adult or not, especially someone that's in Posie Parker's position where she has a target on her back all of the time.
But I didn't.
They would love to
I
know
didn't do
who
those
her
things, did
children
I?
are, but you threatened it. And that puts the fear of God into most women. You know, I've been there when Jean Hatchett's children have been threatened. Her daughter's an adult, but
And I've had
she.
pictures of my nieces and nephews sent to me with threats to
So
put them
you
on
know
public.
what it's like. So I cannot believe that you would threaten another woman with that, having experienced it over a family member yourself.
Yeah,
If
it's
someone
not a
does
good
something
state of
to
affairs,
you,
is it? It's
no,
not a
if
good state
someone
of
does
affairs,
something to you, EJ, it does not give you the right to do it to someone else.
which is why I didn't
But you
release those
threatened it.
pictures.
I don't think you understand the severity of a threat like that in the climate we're in, when women go through what they go through. It.
Like having details of a rape
Yes, and as I've said, if that's
without your
happened, that's
consent.
absolutely awful. I
Absolutely
don't agree
awful.
with that happening either. I
So
really
we're in
don't.
agreement. Thank you. I appreciate your solidarity on that. Thank you.
But
Because
I
it
do
was
think that you should.
appalling.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't disagree with you at
She
all on that.
faced zero repercussions.
But I
I've had
don't
eight hours of
think
this
that
today.
anything that's happened has given you the right to do what you've done today, and then
Which is not
to
release pictures.
which is threatened to release pictures, which actually does cause a trust issue.
I then didn't do. To be fair,
You can sit there and you can say
to
over
be
and
fair,
over and over again,
here's
I
something.
never would have done
Here's
it. I
something.
never would have done it. I never would have done it.
I'm gonna share a personal story. I when I first started Spaces, obviously I think everyone knows. I might have mentioned that I'm a lesbian, and one of the things that happened when I went into a space, I was told that I shouldn't be holding Twitter Spaces unless I had all these things in place. For example, like a trauma specialist and all these safeguarding issues. So I was like, right, yeah, maybe they're right. I'm going to do some research. So I went onto a Twitter space that was, about just like this one, about being a TERF. And they were singing a little song. It went like this. It went, EJ is a TRA, fuck off, bitch, we know you're gay. And they sang it over and over and over. And quite honestly, made me cry a little bit. I was like, I've never faced this level of, quite honestly, homophobia in my life. But a group of women who call themselves feminists were, singing that little song because, they they thought it was a secret that I'm gay, and they thought for some reason, some inexplicable reason, that was okay. I have faced 2.5 months of nothing but abuse from radical feminists, aka TERFs, yet I am still willing and actively standing for most of their beliefs. Tell me again how I'm Hitler.
Who here has said that you're Hitler?
Oh, so many people, whether I've been like compared to a Nazi or, I mean, mostly it's obviously trans rights activists, but they got pretty bored within a week. It's TERFs that have been quite actively nasty to me. And the sad thing is we've got a lot in common. A lot of them I've met in person and they know me as just me. I'm quite shy. I'm not kidding when I say I'm shy. You might have seen the interview with me and Andrew Doyle where I was, stuttering and not really very. I'm not a good public speaker, but I don't want to be a public figure, or I think people like Posie Parker do that brilliantly. Also, I've got a lot of trans friends, so I wouldn't be the best candidate for that. But I think of myself as a cheerleader, and I want to do what I can to uplift women, like holding a space called TERFs Anonymous, where people can come and speak anonymously or otherwise about being TERFs. Speaking of, Josh, you've got your hand up. Come on in. Welcome.
Hiya. Yeah, I've just been listening and watching this go on and what you've been saying, and I just, first of all, wanted to thank you because I think you've united everyone and brought us together, because I think we can all agree that no matter what, those types of threats that you made are just like absolutely not acceptable. But all the anecdotal things that you keep saying, it's like some sort of weird popularity contest, and everything that you say is like conflicting to me. I don't really get what this is about. It's like you're saying you don't want to be a public figure, but then you're being extremely public. It's like you're saying you're shy, but in the middle of a shitstorm, you decide to host a space. Like, what do you want? Do you want people to like you, or do you just want to be in the drama? If you don't want to have a voice and don't want to be a public figure, take a step back, have a nice time with your trans friends, have a nice time with your other friends. But why put yourself in the middle of something to cause such shit when you say that you stand for women, but you just chose to post pictures of Percy and mock her and say that they were unflattering? Like, who even fucking does that? Like, it just seems really obscene, and like you're really trying to get your slot in the next Big Brother house, solidified. I just don't understand any
Oh,
of
that's
it.
amazing. You said the next Big Brother house, because I was actually offered a spot on Big Brother
Well, that's,
back in the day. I've got an
I
identical
thought that
twin.
something I said would
I've
lead to
avoided
another
fame.
story that you would like to, tell
I've
us about to
avoided fame all my
ingratiate
life.
you. It's crazy.
Well, here's the thing. I see, just by virtue of there being 75 people in this room, I think I've been, for better or for worse, handed a microphone. Let's say, as an analogy, I'd like to hand that microphone over to women and TERFs like yourself. Sorry to assume you're a
I'm
TERF.
not a TERF, I'm not a
To
woman.
say their piece.
I'm not a TERF
You
and I'm
can
not a
be
woman. I
a
just
TERF
came in here because
without being a
I feel
woman.
like we have to support each other, and like what the fuck you're doing is just not okay. And what you're saying, and I feel like the other women here, they have like sisterhood with you, and they're obviously being careful about what they say, but this is absolutely fucked. It's not
So
okay.
the last 8 hours, I've upset you, but up until then, not so much.
Well, I didn't know who you was up until then, until all of this drama. The thing that's weird to me is I just don't understand why you're doing all of this and like trying to platform yourself when, you know, you're saying that you hate it so much.
People keep using the word platform. I don't think I'm platforming myself. I think I'm opening a space, which I don't know much about.
It's just weird, like you're pretending that you don't understand what the subject we're discussing is. You do. I don't get what the game is. That's all I wanted to know. And sorry if it sounds like I'm weird. I'm in the middle of like cleaning my house. I'm not some like fat gay guy. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Like, it was bullshit.
Thanks, Josh. Brilliant. Thanks, Josh, for sharing your thoughts. I've got some hands up. Don't know who's up next. Tiffany, I can see your hand up because you've spoken already. I'm going to go to your screen name's Chelabelle. I hope that's right. Otherwise, by all means, come on in. Introduce yourself. Hi, welcome. Chelabelle, you're up. Welcome.
Oh, sorry, it sounded like you broke up a wee bit there. I couldn't hear who you were talking about. Can you hear me?
Sorry, technical issues. I can hear you loud and clear. Come on in.
Right, I kind of think tonight is going to get sort of sidetracked by everything that's happened today. But it wasn't actually about the Posie situation I was wanting to ask you. I've actually seen posts by other women that you've now blocked because there's a voice clip of yourself being shared. And in that voice clip, it basically talks about you wanting somebody fired. So you've then went and followed their children on Twitter. So all these little stories, especially where people are providing evidence and showing the evidence, you can obviously understand why people are wary.
Do you want to hear the whole story? I'm happy to tell it.
Well, we're going to.
Once upon a time, right, little fun fact about me, I'm an ex-addict. So I used to be, from the age of 26, I hurt my neck and I was put in a hospital. And while I was unconscious, they pumped me full of morphine. Now, I'd never taken drugs before that in my life, with the exception of like trying weed when I was 15 and got really sick and swore off drugs forever. But I'd hurt my neck and they pumped me full of morphine, and that was the start of an addiction that had me for, about 3 years. Anyway, series of events. I'm now 3 years, 8 months, 2 weeks and 2 days clean. Almost. Very proud of that. Addiction to opiates is quite a difficult thing to beat. But along that journey, I met someone who had addiction problems, and she heard voices. So I don't know what her official diagnosis is, but all she said to me was, I keep hearing voices, and one of them is the voice of my therapist. And we spoke some more, and she said, we've been
You're away again.
Has she cut off?
We can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Because it's like when I was in Dubai, which is no idea. It's a clinic, and then he moved them to her house. Now, I don't know about.
We've missed that full story.
His work, so he still managed. At the time he still managed an inpatient treatment, just like the one she went to, with vulnerable women in it that he was having sexual relationships with. Now, I didn't think that was okay, so I flooded the switchboard of their Harley Street head office to ask the question, like, can we, because she'd sent 100 emails and her dad had sent 100 emails, but none of them had been responded to. So that's what I did. I spent a whole day just phoning until that the poor woman, Sharon, the receptionist got so sort of overwhelmed that she in the end gave me the number for, you know, the manager, which happened to be obviously the man himself. So I got on the phone to him and I was like, "Hi there. You've broken the ethics to which you subscribed when you became a therapist. I believe you're a predator, and I don't think you should be in charge of an inpatient facility until you have rectified the mistake that you made. Maybe it was a mistake, but I think it's time for you to apologise." Not verbatim, not in those words, but he essentially hung up the phone and refused to take any more calls. So on the third day, he had 2 adult children. Now I didn't message them in any way. The reason I knew who they were was because, of course, the victim had been introduced to these children. The man had promised her that they were going to be a couple if only he could get rid of his pesky wife, because men who have affairs with women always have pesky wives who for one reason or another they can't get rid of. So she'd met his children. So on the third day, I followed his children on Twitter. Now at the time it was a different Twitter account, and they had no idea who I was. They were also adult children, 21 and 24. But it was at that point that the BACP, which is the British Association of Counsellors and Psychotherapists, stepped in, struck him off the record, fired him, and he's never worked with vulnerable people before. Now I call that a win. The next thing I wanted to do was get her money back. She'd spent over £80,000 on treatment, which essentially constituted her being able to suck his cock once a week, which made me quite angry. But she at that point said, "You know what? I feel like because he's never going to do it to anyone else, I'm happy now. I don't need the money back. It's gone. It's over." And she found peace. And that was enough for me. I might have used what you might consider nefarious means, but it took me 3 days and I got it done. And it had taken her family 8 years of not getting any response. So, you know, life is about checks and balances. She'd asked me to do what I did. I'd kept her updated at every point. And in the end, she's now made a full recovery. And she's living a happy life in Kensington, in London. And I'm very happy for her. And he can rot in hell forevermore.
So we missed the majority of that story as well, but I think we got the gist. My question to that would then be, why have you then blocked the woman that's called this out? And you've blocked quite a few women that's raised questions on different issues with you. So I don't understand why you would go away and block them.
My own mental health. If someone's going to scam, just like Joanne Walsh, with her relentless harassment of me because she thought I was a story. If someone's going to come and ask, my DMs are open and my email is public. And I check that email account asking me that is honestly harassment, so I block them, which is a shame because but you can always unblock someone, you know, if someone feels they've been unfairly blocked and they'd like to have a conversation with me, I'm more than happy to do that. But I'm also like, my recovery comes first. As I mentioned, I'm a recovered addict, and I serve 3 people in this order. 1, my God. 2, my family. 3, myself. And if the first 2 are looked after, then the third one's fine. But I don't know if you've noticed, but Twitter women are not on that list. So I'm more than happy to answer questions, but not on a public forum like Twitter, where it just, I mean, let's be honest, it's just drama.
But do you not see how you contribute to that?
What? By not responding, except for today?
By the drama in general?
I've not responded to anything publicly, except for today. and I'll very likely just delete all of it soon.
Sorry, do you mind
Well,
Anyway.
sorry,
if I speak now, just because I need to go in 5 minutes. I just wanted to say, EJ, I'm really sorry for the experiences that you've described tonight, and I'm sorry that this person has posted private details. That's unforgivable and reprehensible. But unfortunately, the way that you're speaking back to people and speaking over people and coming up with an excuse for sort of everything, that any comment that anybody makes, I think, I don't know, there's just something off. I think people were suspicious of you before because they didn't know if you were lying about being a TERF or if you were writing a story. I know you said you don't want to be a story, but that's what people were worried about. But actually, honestly, today, what you've just described, how you've berated a woman, a receptionist, how you've stalked someone's children, you've threatened to post pictures of someone's kids, you've harassed a homosexual person, and every time it's just, oh, let's take it to the DMs, because you can't take accountability, and you definitely can't take accountability publicly. And I say this as someone who was a critic of KJK as well, but I would never ever speak to any woman like you have today, because I'm a feminist and women come first.
Thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate you coming today. Jem, you've got your hand up. Come on in.
Hi there. Well, like you, I am not a very good public speaker. I'm also quite soft-spoken, and I would like to preempt this by saying I'm not attacking you in any means of anything. I really, really empathize with what you've been through, and trust me, I know what it's like to be treated as if you're a story, and moreover, that your story is not real, that your story is worth a 5-minute rant by Owen Jones about how I don't exist and how I'm a made-up story to appease people, you know? It's awful. But there is something that I believe is just fundamentally wrong, and that is, as a feminist, coming for any women when there is an alternative course to pursue. For instance, 500 quid that you feel you have been, missold. You go to your, mobile banking app, find the transaction, call up the bank, and if, they don't respond to your emails and have terrible customer service, you can pursue it from there. But what I've noticed is that the first thing you've gone for is the looks of a woman. You've gone for saying her husband is perving on you. I mean, with all due respect, that might be true, but that's the first thing you tell. You tell her what? To leverage a reply. And I'm sorry. Look, I know it's hard. I do, but I know you're mad and I know you're bereaved. And it must have been a rush of everything together, but a threat. As somebody
standing
earlier,
for women.
Yes, yeah. So if you say it's not about Kellie-Jay, then why did you implicate her in this? If you're saying standing for women is the issue, this transaction is the issue, this support for their support for Joni Walker, so Joni Walsh, right? Sorry, what's her name? I'm sorry, but
Well, I've been spending about 3
It
months.
is Joni Walsh. Yes, Joni Walsh.
Sorry, I'll let you finish. Carry on. Joni, not Joannie. My bad.
Joannie or Joni. Yeah, it's just you implicate Kelly, who strikes a nerve sometimes with, I guess, what you describe radical feminism, I describe as actual feminism. But it's not reason. There's so many other reasons to criticize her, and you decide to leverage somebody to respond to your email because you think they have a vested contempt for you in particular, and you want them to respond. So you say their husband is. please, I want to understand why you decided to implicate Posie and why it.
Well, if I was
it
talking
had
about
to. Why
someone's
you threatened?
husband,
Because
I wouldn't. Okay, personal story again. I'm in my 20s, and a man who I work with, who's maybe 9-10 years older than me, asked me for a drink after work and tells me he's got a wife and a new kid, and tells me he's in love with me. Now that was a really awkward position, and I didn't know what to do because I was like, 20. In the end, I decided I'm going to tell the wife, which a lot of people maybe wouldn't have done, and it was very
sorry,
uncomfortable
and
and
the
very
moral.
awkward.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but the moral of that story is you told
Well, I mean, have a look at the picture, the GIF. You can clearly see him looking at my tits, and it wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time.
That wasn't going to her and telling her about her husband. That is an absolutely absurd rebuke. I don't. That doesn't change the fact that you violated Twitter harassment policies by threatening to post a picture of her children who are minors. I know two of which I think are above.
And again, I'll repeat, I haven't posted those pictures.
You haven't,
and I won't.
But threatening to violates Twitter harassment policies.
Well, if it violates Twitter harassment policies, then they'll take it down, and I'll also take it down, because you're now like the fifth person, and I respect that.
No, but there's a reason why there's so many people trying to tell you this.
Yeah, but where were you when Joni Walsh? Sorry, but it's double standards.
I didn't hear of her. Where were you when Owen Jones made a 10-minute rant about me? Where were you when I could say that?
I was grieving.
I know you were grieving.
We are not responsible for each other's problems.
So why does that work? Why are you using that as an argument against me?
Okay, tell you what. Would you like to talk about being a TERF, or would you like to attack me? Because there are other spaces you can do that. Pretty much every other space on Twitter.
EJ, this is not an attack. Don't be ridiculous. You've done something absolutely atrocious. People are calling you out on it, and you're talking over them to an absolutely ridiculous level. Yes, you have.
Look, I'm not even trying
where
to
are the
be
pictures
mad.
of her kids?
I'm not being funny, but it
they
really does
they
sound like
there.
you fucking love this, to be honest.
They aren't there. The pictures of her kids not posted,
you
are
sound
they?
pretty fucking smug for somebody
You threatened to post them. You made remarks about her husband in a public space designed to humiliate her. What you need to do, if you don't want to listen to this, is close the space, EJ. Because this is all anybody's going to want to know about tonight.
Well, this space is TERFs Anonymous, so you could talk about being a TERF.
Well, you're going to keep getting this. I'm sorry, but that's what's going to keep happening. You've done something. You're refusing to be held accountable for it. Beyond talking over
Anonymous
everybody.
TERFs wants to talk about the fact that you just posted.
In this, sorry, I hate using the mute everyone button. If you're here to sort of shout at me and have a go at me, then there's lots of spaces for that. I think there's probably about 10 going on right now. But like I said, I've got to look after my mental health, and that does not include the sixth person, because there's now been 5, telling me that I'm Hitler, or that, whatever it is I am. I'm waiting to hear back from Standing for Women. It's between me and them, not Posie Parker, because she doesn't run the Standing for Women Twitter account. So in my eyes, she's not really involved in this. Her husband is, because he very clearly looked at my tits. There was another incident on the evening where at the very end he put his hand around my waist and pulled me close, and again looked very closely at my tits. That's not a surprise to me. That happens quite a lot. I've got great tits, but yeah, I was more than a little bit uncomfortable. So for that and many other reasons, I no longer wish to be a member of Standing for Women. I don't expect a full refund, just maybe, even half of it would do me. But yeah, it's been a really difficult 2.5 months, and I'll delete the tweet because I've heard so many of your voices asking me to do so. So that's what I'll do. I apologise, not just to you, but to Standing for Women and to Posie Parker. So I'll do that like the minute I end the space. In the meantime, let's talk about being TERFs. For me, being a TERF means standing for women's rights over the inclusion of trans people in, for example, women's spaces, women's sports, sex. So, for example, lesbians being told to date a dick in any way, shape, or form, and schools. So, schools having people come in, LGBTQ, all the letters, coming in and talking about what it's like to be LGBTQ. I can only speak from personal experience, of course, but I'm a lesbian, as I think I've mentioned, and I didn't need to be taught in school what a lesbian was. It didn't hurt me. It just meant that I came out when I was an adult, which I think is appropriate. So I don't think we're hurting children by not allowing or not encouraging the LGBTQ part being taught in schools. I think biologically and you know, those lessons, sex education, fair enough, but yeah, I've been asked on many occasions to go into schools and talk about being a lesbian, and I find that quite uncomfortable. I don't want to speak to children about sex. I think that would call me into question as a predator, and that anyone who is willing to go into schools to talk about their sex life is gives me the creeps a little bit, not in a judgmental way, just in a that's my gut instinct as a woman and a lesbian. Right, Tiffany, you've got your hand up, and then we're going to Sin. Carry on.
Oh gosh. So, being a TERF, it's really hard. TERF is a slur. We've rallied together under this acronym. You can't, I'm trying to phrase this in a way that's not going to set you off, EJ. And it's really hard.
That's all right. You're good. Say however. I would never seek to police women's language. Go ahead.
You are already aware, because you've been told multiple times, that your behavior today was unacceptable. Moving past that, I don't have to tell you that. What I need to tell you now is that you have got to take ownership of it if you want to be part of this community. You say that you don't want to platform yourself, but you talk about yourself a lot. You talk about your situation a lot. You are full of anecdotal stories, some funnier than others. But a lot of what you say is called into question when it contradicts so much. And TERF spaces, whether it's your space or whether it's just Peak Trans Twitter, is a very fraught place to be. A lot of people can't show their actual faces or use their actual names. I'm not scared of anybody, which is why I make myself visible on purpose for all the women who can't. I don't believe necessarily in safe spaces, but I do believe in communal spaces. And when you come in and you fuck up the community in this kind of way, and then when you get called on it, you are full of 101 excuses like they're Dalmatians you are piling to the sky. It is not helpful. It is not helpful to us. It is not helpful to you. I do assume that you want your credibility back. I assume that
No,
you
I
are
don't need
aware.
anything. Do you know what? I'm gonna upset everyone here. I'm a trust fund kid. I don't need to earn a single penny again in my life. I'm not actually a trust fund kid. I inherited some money when I was 26, and all I need is a roof over my head and food in my fridge. That's it. I don't need any more than that. I'm not
That
a
is,
public figure. I don't intend on being a public figure of any kind. I am but a simple lesbian with a Twitter account.
let me know when you're done speaking over me.
I just, sorry, but you were talking about me having anecdotal evidence. All I can have is anecdotal evidence.
Well, you can have.
I'm not
Well,
setting myself up as a leader or trying to influence people.
I didn't say that you did.
I am but a simple lesbian with a Twitter account.
I didn't say that you did. Can I finish speaking? I do have a couple of more points to make.
Cool, carry on.
Okay. With regards to the standing for women situation,
can I veto
again,
that? Like, we've been speaking about standing for women. If you want to talk about being a TERF, great. But me versus standing for women is, I think, now, hopefully, after today, going to be a private matter.
But you recognize that it's the TERF space, the TERF side of Twitter, that this has happened in. This did not happen in a vacuum that just involved you in this organization. This has implicated all of us who take part in this space. When you accuse an organization of taking your money, not giving you a refund that you are entitled to somehow, which I honestly don't think you are. But when you say these things and you say them publicly,
I'm exhausted.
are you saying that I'm boring you? Is that what's happening here?
I don't believe she is. I think she's just Rosetta.
I think she's speaking, but I can't hear her. Can anyone else hear
She's
her?
on mute.
I can. I spent a lot of time in like trans activist circles. Now, I wasn't a trans activist myself. They didn't spend all this time like wasting time arguing with one another. They got shit done. So
well, then go back to being a TERF. No one's keeping you here. If you don't like the way that we conduct our business, go away.
Hey, Josh,
you say
I
in
don't...
my space, like, come on.
I mean,
lady, you've got your hand up.
Yes,
Right, carry on. Lady, you've got your hand up. Sorry, Josh. I really, I'm very grateful that you came today and shared your thoughts. Thank you so much. The lady, you've got your hand up. Carry on. Sorry, Tiffany, to cut you off, but that's apparently what I do. So carry on, lady.
I just wanted to put in something that like has nothing to do with the current conversation. I noticed that Joss Pryor is listening to this space. He is an extremely harmful, perverse man who says extremely harmful, misogynistic things about women. So I just wanted to alert everybody to that if you weren't aware that he is here, and I'm sure he's going to use it for whatever. Joss, I don't know why you're here. By the way, you're a man. And yeah, so I just wanted to alert everybody to that.
Thank you. Public service announcement. Josh Pryor's in the room. I'm trying to scroll through to find Josh Pryor to remove, but I'll be doing that whilst the next person speaks.
I'm sure he'll have fucked off by now.
Yeah, probably. You've got your hand up, Sin. It's CYN. Come on in. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hi. Yeah, it's Beth. Sin is just a pseudonym. I just wanted to ask a few questions because I mean I don't know anything about you at all. I've not heard any drama about you as such up till now. I don't know if anybody has any other information to say otherwise, but as it stands now, from what I know, this has been the first bit of drama surrounding you. And I'm aware that over the past couple of months that you, well, from what you've posted, it appears that you've become estranged from family. You've lost your job. So there's been like quite a few changes. And with those changes, it appears that there's been a change in behaviour as well. And I don't know if you're aware that I posted something to you. I sent a I tweeted at you basically, just asking you because I was just wondering if there might be anything else that might explain those changes, or with you being a recovering addict, and I don't mean to embarrass you by saying this, but I've been dealing with someone who struggles with addiction recently, and something that I think that I've picked up on in this conversation, and once again, I'm not saying this is a dig. When I'm on the phone to him, sometimes I will hear him drinking, I will hear him pouring drinks in the background. And I thought that I heard that earlier on, and I was just wondering if you were struggling, if you're struggling, if, I don't know, this is a really private thing and you don't need to tell me, but it's just something that I was wanting you to maybe think about.
Thank you. That's a
You know,
really,
if there's been any change in any medications, because I know that you've been struggling with like PTSD and things like that, and usually those kinds of diagnoses come with being given, you know, medications that get changed up on people. And I'm just trying to get like a full picture of what you might be dealing with at the moment, and if any of it can explain some more impulsive tweets that you
the only thing
I
that
know
I think
people are
might
reading it as that you
explain-
are making excuses for yourself, but it could be read that you're trying to explain towards and maybe even to yourself why you've done some of those things.
Well,
but
if I was pouring drinks, I currently I'm drinking a hot chocolate, which is
right.
I drink hot chocolate at night because probably not the best idea to drink sugar, but I was never an alcohol person. Like I said, I was a one drug woman. I would. Oh, why are you talking about this on the internet, EJ? It was painkillers, opiates, and you don't beat opiate addiction without a little bit of grit around you. But I
just
woke up
wanted to
this
try
morning
and figure out if anything
one
at
of the
all
things that did
like that you
happen.
might be struggling with that, you know, could
You're
be
onto
leading
something.
to
You're onto
you
something
sorry?
because you're onto something because this morning, I know this is a very, for Christ's sake, sorry, that's my
Josh is
ashtray.
still in this space.
My
If you wanted to
my
maybe get
cat's
rid of this
walking around.
person before you continue speaking, EJ.
Who's in this space? Sorry, there's
Josh
lots of
Pryor
people in
is
the space.
still.
Josh, I won't want
Josh
him
is
to be
still in this
using
space.
anything
Could you
against
please
you,
get rid of
EJ.
that person first?
Okay. Tell you what, if I make you co-host, will you help me out?
Who? Tiffany?
Yeah, because then you can sort of don't just like remove people, but like people like Joss maybe that we don't want here. That would be great. But yeah, one of the things that happened when the tweet happened, the JK the OG tweet, the JK round.
Sound out?
I'm gonna have to get off, but can I just like if there's anyone else in the room that can maybe like see
I think my therapist would call it projection that I decided to tweet a tweet about Posie Parker, but the more hours that go on, the more I regret it, and the more I know I'm going to regret it even more. And
I believe you, EJ.
Before I start crying, I'm going to mute myself. But I'm very glad to have actually got my period because I was like, shit, it's been 3 months and I think I might have turned myself infertile from stress. But yes, I haven't.
Ooh. I mean, all I can say is that I can see your situation, EJ. I don't 100% know for sure what's going on with you, but I think you I'm going to take what you're saying as sincere,
Thanks.
You know, I mean, it's not for me to accept that. I mean, obviously, it's an issue between you and KJK. I've had my own issues with it before, but I can see what people are saying, like that you've done wrong. I can see maybe what your reasoning was when you do it, that you thought, well, I'm not actually going to do it, and I'm making a point. You know, I've been exposed. You know, this person's I'm being ignored. I have no power here. I'll maybe like draw some attention to this because I'm feeling powerful or whatever. I'm not agreeing with it.
Kind of when I used to get raped as a child by my
I
granddad,
get that.
and no one did anything about it.
Yeah, and I can
It was
see all
weird
kinds of
because my
reasons
mum
which
was
I'm not going to
my
go
mum was
over.
like, "Why does my lesbian daughter keep having to have abortions?" But apparently, that was absolutely fine. No one worried. No one thought, why is this teenager needing to have a second abortion when she's not sexually active? Turned out, yeah, my granddad was a paedophile and a rapist. He's dead now, but yeah, maybe that's got something to do with it.
I think at the moment, you might, especially with people like Josh Pryor coming and
So
stuff
when
like that. I'm
some
feeling at the
random
moment
older
you're making
man
yourself
looks at my
very
tits,
exposed, and you're not in
I am. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I
I
feel
apologise.
like you
I'd
need
really like to
to.
take it back, but I've done it now.
Yeah,
So I'm going to pass the mic over. Sorry, I'm going to mute myself now and make myself another hot chocolate and have a cigarette. I know smoking's bad, but it's yeah. I'm going to
I
have
think
like
maybe you
a
were
cigarette
saying
and a hot
earlier that
chocolate.
you were very tired.
I'm going to let
You
you
were saying
take
you were
over.
very tired earlier on. Sorry, we keep cross talking accidentally. I'm sorry. You were saying you were really exhausted early on, and
My bad. I'm going to let Tiffany. Thank you so much for volunteering your time, Tiffany, to co-host. I'm going to let you take over for a bit while I make myself a hot chocolate and have a cigarette and deeply regret what I just said. Thank you.
Take care, AJ.
Wait, EJ, don't regret it. What you said is why women need to stick together and why we need to have each other's backs, and throwing someone under the bus throws everyone under. And everyone has their shit. And something about being a woman now is that you have to live with that shit, knowing that so many people saw it and nobody did anything. And that is why so many women are in the position they are. And I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. So sorry. But I'm sure every single one of us in this chat has an equal and opposite anecdote to pair with it. And that's just the truth. And it doesn't vindicate any action towards another woman. That, I mean, look, we're over this, and it just, you need to look at the place where that came from, not necessarily what that said, because I don't think, as a woman and a feminist, I possess in me the instinct to tell a woman the first thing to her, if I'm upset with her, if I want to leverage a reply from her or manipulate her in some way, the first thing that the first thing that comes into my mind is not, I need to tell you that your husband was looking at my tits. And there are so many places you could have criticized her. You could have came out with your story and told why you were so, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop now, but,
I think I'm going to take it that would maybe not be your normal behaviour under normal circumstances, but there's some things going on with you, AJ, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I hope you manage to sort things out. I really do.
Okay, so just kind of getting to hands real quick. I've got Annie at large with a hand up. Did you want to speak now, Annie? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I have been listening for a little bit. I'll take my hand off once I'm done. I'm not great with this stuff. Anyway, you know, I've listened. I understand. I think it was Jem that said we've all got our own stuff going on, and we all deal with trauma in different ways. And I get it. I get it, EJ. But what I don't get is it's not just an isolated incident. You using children against their parents. It's not an isolated incident, because I just seen it was posted yesterday, but I only saw it this morning, that you wanted a man fired from work, and you know, he wasn't getting fired, and eventually you actually befriended his children on Twitter and intimidated and scared him that he quit his job. No.
Sorry.
Please do not interrupt me, please.
As
Let
you've
me
said,
speak. Let me speak. Let me finish my sentence.
As you've said, you've just come in, and I have addressed this. And I hope that once you've heard the sort of story, which I can only tell to a certain extent, because it's not my story, it's the victim's story. I didn't befriend those children. I followed. They were adults, 21 and 24, and I followed them on Twitter. That was all I did. I didn't befriend them. I didn't contact them. I didn't tell them who I was, because I was no one. I was just advocating for a woman who had been raped by her therapist for 8 years, and he's now struck off the record. Will never work. He was a general manager of an inpatient facility, and had on many occasions had sexual relationships with patients. He had herpes. He passed herpes on to all these. Anyway, it's not my story to tell, and I agree that those were quite extreme measures to go to, but that family had tried for 8 years to get justice, and all the justice they wanted was for him to be struck off the record and not do it to anyone else, and that was what was achieved. Not just by me.
Can I just ask, sorry, on that, EJ, what was the reasoning behind following them? Was the reason why you followed them specifically?
Please answer the question, EJ. Why do you use people's children? Why that piece of ammunition?
Because the victim asked me to. I said
no, not just him. I'm talking about, you know, Posie Parker, Kellie-Jay Keen, and I'm asking about the fella before. So it's not an isolated incident. Why do you use children?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, John.
Answer the question. Why there's so many means of revenge or vexation or retribution. There's so many means to get that. My question is, why do you use children?
On the first occasion.
Okay. EJ, if you're speaking, I can't quite hear you.
On the first occasion.
Why do you use children? Answer the question. I don't care about the backstory. Why is your ammunition of choice children?
Well, firstly, it wasn't. Well, firstly, I haven't posted pictures of Kellie-Jay Keen's children. That hasn't happened. Secondly, the incident that happened with the therapist's children, they were 21 and 24, and the victim asked me. Well, she asked me to contact them and use their emails and phone numbers, and I was like, nah. But I'm going to follow them on my EJ Rosetta Twitter account, and that meant nothing to the kids because they didn't have any idea who I was. But it did mean that he, the therapist, who had raped, raped his client, actually, went to an employment tribunal and is now struck off the record. So yeah, maybe you'd have preferred to spend 8 years filing reports and all the rest of it. We did that too, but that was something that happened that I was asked to do because the victim asked me to do it.
Can we move on to the next speaker since you've answered the question?
Thanks. Yes, please.
Okay, absolutely. So the next person up is whatever next. AL, whatever next. Do you have your hand up?
Hiya, yeah, sorry, I was waiting for everyone to be unmuted. EJ, we're just circling. We're circling round and round and round with excuse after excuse of why you think it's an acceptable thing to do what you've done today. We're just circling. You're not going.
I've now deleted the tweet.
But that doesn't matter. Do you know the amount of people that have got to have screenshotted that? Like,
Yeah,
when you put it on Twitter, it's on the internet forever.
I realise that.
Right, and that you do realise that threat that you've made, multiple people have handed to the police today.
Right.
Multiple.
But it wasn't carried through. I didn't.
That doesn't matter.
Still
That
a
doesn't
threat.
matter.
Still
And I've
violates Twitter
apologised
policy.
and I've deleted
It
the
still
tweet. But
constitutes
I feel like we
law.
are still going round and round in
Yeah,
circles.
because you won't own up. You won't take responsibility for your actions.
I just did. I said I deleted.
Oh,
the
I
tweet.
deleted it. I
apologised.
took responsibility. No.
And I didn't. And I
Every
didn't do the
single
thing.
woman in this room feels violated by you now. The trust, the violation of trust as a sisterhood of women,
I've
you
had a
have
lot of sisters that
violated.
disagree
And
with
you
me.
need to do a public, well, you can disagree all you like, but I'm pretty sure every woman in the room feels the same. You have literally violated the trust that goes with sisterhood of women.
I agree with you. Had I posted those pictures,
just the threat. You clearly do not understand. I am a survivor of child sexual abuse and exploitation. I was trafficked around this country, and I would never, ever, 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 ever behave in the way that you have today. I would never use my trauma as an excuse like you have today. No manner, shape, or form. My trauma does not allow me to do shitty behaviour to women, to make threats to women. No way. No way.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Next.
Yeah, me. Why do you use children?
Nope.
You could use
No. Okay, so we're not going to do this. She already gave whatever her response was going to be to that question, but going around in circles is not helpful. EJ, what you did was wrong. A public apology would be a good idea. I'm glad that you deleted the tweet. We don't need to keep spinning around in circles about why she did it. It's done. It happened. Okay? Now, what she does going forward from here, that is entirely in her hands, but asking over and over and over again, why did you do it? It's not solving the problem. EJ, you keep saying, but I didn't do it. You made a threat. You made a very scary threat, and you need to acknowledge that and sit with it and stop saying, but I didn't do it, because the threat is a bad thing on its own. Okay? So now the next person up to speak is Fair Maiden. Fair Maiden.
It's Beth, yeah. Now, I was just going to ask, because obviously that question was more of attack, right? Why are you using children? It's an accusation of sorts. I do think it is actually helpful to ask the question, what was the thinking behind it? Like, were you hoping to get some sort of like information that would help the case? Me personally, I'm genuinely interested in understanding your perspective and train of thought.
It was 3 seconds of responding to a tweet that someone had, not Kellie-Jay Keen or Posie Parker herself.
Oh, no, sorry, the guy before. You know, the guy who
sorry.
The therapist. Yeah. Sorry, you've muted yourself, I think.
AJ, we can't hear you.
I think that's you, AL.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh God, I hate this. I hate all this so very much. I've now also seen tonight a recording of a space that you had with a detransitioner where you apparently, well, it's very clear actually, somebody's added captions to this recording as well. You've referred to people, oh God, as a mong and a retard.
No, I have a speech impediment. The word was mole, MOLE. So I've got a speech impediment. So I'm going to call you ableist.
Okay, so we are just throwing. Yeah, okay. Yep. So I think when the recording is seen,
I've never used the R word. I have a nephew who has additional needs. I'd never use that.
Okay, but the space is recorded and it's been posted.
Okay, well, listen to it.
So
and
I think,
not using that word.
I did, and that's why I've put it to you now, because I have listened to it, and you very clearly have, and you very clearly got really angry. Actually, your voice went from a very soft voice to a very angry voice. There was a lot of swearing. There was a lot of names thrown about. There was a lot of names thrown about. A Joy, an Amber, a Googly. And a couple of other names.
I've got an ex named Amber.
Right, okay. But it wasn't Amber Hartman you were talking about, no?
I can't. Maybe you can tell me, because as far as I was concerned, that was a private space. It was just me and.
But you realise that spaces on Twitter are completely public, and that anybody can listen on a browser.
I've learned that now. Yeah, apparently nothing's private, and nothing I say.
Of course, it's not, because it's a public social media platform.
I would never use the word.
Well, I think when the recording gets out and a bit more and more people see it, I think unfortunately, we're just going to hear that tonight you've lied about that, and I think that's really unfortunate. You've got an opportunity here to own up to your behaviour. I think you've got a big opportunity to own up to your behaviour tonight, and you clearly don't want to. Whether that's impacting people's children or women as a general population, you don't seem to want to just own up to your behaviour. Well, that might be called that, but your shitty ass behaviour today is spoiled. That has
TERF, then by all means talk about being a TERF. Maybe one day I'll open a space called Let's Attack EJ and we can have a great time. But today I invite you to talk about yourself, your beliefs, gender critical, TERF or otherwise. But quite frankly, the Attack EJ party is over. Sorry you were late to the party.
Just to add in that space, you said that Navy Spade wasn't you, but then unfortunately it was the D-trans person that confirmed that Navy Spade was you. So we're just going to throw that one out there as well.
Oh, Navy Spade, that's an account that both me and my identical twin sister have access to.
And EJ Rosetta 72 Tribes account that you also made on the back foot to speak to that D-transer is also not you. Honestly, the twists and turns in this are insane. I've got
six different sock puppet accounts. Let me check. Yep, you're friends with one of them. Pet.
You're trying to say that Navy Spade is not you when it clearly was you. And please, you must know how disgusting it is to call another woman pet. So please don't refer to me as pet.
Okay.
I'm not your pet, am I? I'm not an animal. I'm a woman.
Yeah, just like I don't like being called poppet. I'll respect that. I won't call you pet again. And you.
Honestly, we all know Navy Spade is you, and Lucy D Trans confirmed that Navy Spade was you. If you go look at his tweets, he confirmed it was you that he was speaking to.
She's a woman.
Hi, can I just ask how long ago this space
and a woman,
occurred?
adult human female.
Sorry,
I think it was about a week ago, Sid.
It's
about a week ago. EJ, I'm going to give my honest opinion. I think you're still struggling with addiction issues, and I think it's affecting your behaviour. And you like, I think you said earlier that you weren't drinking. I think
well,
you
you're
are.
not my therapist.
I don't think you're at your best right now.
I'm gonna remove you from speakers.
And I'm not
thank
saying
you very much for your time. But I personally think that my doctor of 15 years, my therapist of 3.5 years, and my key worker know a little bit better than you about my mental health and my addiction problems.
But are they aware of your behaviour online? Are they aware that you're threatening people's children?
Well, that was only 6 hours ago, and yeah.
So I think they will be worried on the back foot of that.
Well, the thing my therapist said to me this morning was fight fire with fire.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm pretty sure she would never have condoned you threatening people's children.
Round and round and round and round.
Because you won't bloody acknowledge what you've done.
I have. I've removed the.
Just because you've removed it, you've not apologized.
Yeah, I have. But again, I think I'd like to refocus this on TERFs Anonymous. We've got 9 minutes left. So,
and could we please go back to raising our hands before jumping in? I realize that everyone has something to say, but we really do need to do this in an orderly fashion. Please put your hand up if you'd like to speak. Thank you.
Good point. Also, if a space says no one invited and it's just between two people, it is kind of intrusive to come in and record that space. Just saying.
I'm probably going to get this wrong, but Oceana, you requested to speak, but you don't have your hand up. Did you want to speak?
Yes, it's Oceana. I'm from the United States. I've been listening to this space now for several weeks, and I didn't even know I was a TERF until I started listening to this. I think Britain is a lot more ahead than we are on what's happening. But it's starting to happen close to me. I have a granddaughter, and I go into a bathroom in a county over, and in the women's bathroom, they literally have women only, women and children only, no men. And I thought, oh my God, this is happening, and it's just infuriating that men are now taking over our spaces. Everywhere we go, in our sports, in our bathrooms, in our locker rooms, everywhere. And to be honest, I just feel like women all over the world, women, true women, need to come together and fight this. And I feel like that we've gotten off the path today of what we're talking about. Everybody's just coming down on EJ for a tweet. It sounds to me like she was concerned about children. I don't know what these parents are doing, but if a child is in danger on Facebook, in vulnerable positions, if it was my neighbor or someone down the road, I would feel an obligation to try to help that child and go, hey, something's wrong here. I don't know what these parents are thinking, but all of this is a lie. You're either born a boy or born a girl, period. And I'm not going to change because you feel like you're a woman. And basically, that's just my 2 cents. But EJ, I'm behind you 100%. I think you're just trying to help women and help people.
Thank you. That means more than I can put into words. And I'm a writer, so I should be able to use words. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So, EJ, do you think that the space has come to its natural conclusion at this point? Was there anything that you wanted to say, sort of maybe wrapping up? It's getting a little bit later. You tell me.
I'm happy. Usually space is overrun by about half an hour, and I think just being selfish,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot has been about me. I'd like to sort of hand the floor over to women who would like to speak about themselves being a TERF, or having been called a TERF, or otherwise. So yeah, if it's all right with you, thank you so much for donating your time like this to co-host. I'm happy to carry on for another half hour if you are.
Certainly. Is there anyone who? Perfect. We've got our next speaker. It is Annie. Annie, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much for at least not booting me out, EJ, for the stuff that's conspired over the last 48 hours. As a TERF, it's so easy to call ourselves TERFs these days. It's just because it's a slur. Basically, it just means I believe in biology, I believe in the female sex, I believe that the patriarchy exists. So it's something for me to see the host of this account going for one of the most natural, animalistic, human things that women can do. And I don't mean that, women aren't women because they don't have babies, or they've not yet had babies. But I believe there is a very sinister underlying motive when EJ, Rosetta, whatever your real name is, goes for the the little humans that we push out of our vaginas or get dragged out of our stomachs. No, someone's going to interrupt me. Don't do it. Do you know, EJ? I'm sure you don't have children. I don't know and don't care about you that enough to know. I am 100% sure you do not have children. Because when
Yeah,
you do that,
I don't have
no,
children.
no,
No, I just thought
no.
I'd come in and say you're right. I
I'm
don't have
just
children.
going to say, please let me finish my
She
sentence.
has already told you that
That,
if you do not like what is going
no,
on, get
I
out of
don't
this space.
care. This
Get
woman,
out of this
this
space.
woman
This is about TERF
literally
Anonymous.
goes.
So get out of this space. This is about
Yeah,
TERF.
sorry. I thank you so much for your contribution and your time. Maybe another day we can do a Let's Attack EJ space, but for my mental health, not today. But if anyone would like to come in and talk about themselves and their experience being a TERF or being called a TERF, then welcome and thanks for coming.
EJ, do you recognize that this feeling of upset that people have has a lot to do with being a TERF? That the situation of today is very central to that idea of TERFs already being put upon, and then you adding to it, you putting a woman's children or threatening to put a woman's children in danger is something that a lot of anonymous women already feel they have to face being a TERF, that we're in danger, that our children are in danger, that most of this movement has to do with children being in danger. And so for you to threaten to endanger children, that is antithetical to
Yeah,
being a
and
TERF.
I post.
If you're speaking, I can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else can.
in my life, I'm sorry, but it's a feminine child, so I'm going to say she is now a trans boy and has a Facebook account, and drag queens are her/his idol. And it's one thing to cosplay as whatever you want, that's great, but the pictures I've seen recently, because the kid, you know, added me on Facebook, so did, by the way, the mother and the stepdad, but not the dad, although I do know him from way back when. But the pictures have been getting progressively more upsetting, as in, you know, handcuffs and mesh tops that show, I'm sorry, but her nipples, prepubescent nipples. And I just, that Facebook account is open for everyone. It's not a private one. And some days I go, well, the mum knows, and I've known the mum for a long time, but there's no way of me contacting the mum anymore, because since the J.K. Rowling thing, she's blocked me. So now I'm only friends with the kid on Facebook, and of course I can't screenshot those pictures because then I'd have indecent images of a minor on my phone. But when a kid's got, like, cosplaying's one thing, like dressing up, but when you got handcuffs on and a mesh top, like, even though I'm not a mother, there's like an instinct that goes off in my gut that says, oh my God, you need to do something about this. So I'm in a bit of a loop right now because I can't do anything about it, but also I feel like I should. But what can I do?
No, it's definitely hard. We've got another hand up here from S. Christy Jones. Did you want to go ahead and speak? Thank you.
Hi, EJ. I've been in the industry, the journalism industry, for 23 years now. And I know the editors at every magazine, including every women's magazine and everything from Vice to all the mainstream newspapers. Why did Curve magazine delete all of your articles?
That's a very good question, Scott. I hadn't realised they had. I've screenshot all of them. So I'd written called, what was it? It was 5 types of UK lesbian not to date, and of course that's quite important. They most read articles came up on, and it stayed on the top of, or second or third of that list for ages. But obviously, just by virtue of being on that list, it got read lots and lots of times. So it was one of my most successful articles. Looking back, it was written, I think, 2017 at the latest, maybe even 2015, and it's totally outdated now. But it was my lived experience as a lesbian. Well, I weren't bisexual at the time, but okay, of just types of lesbian that I'd come across in the wild, and that was Jane Sosewski. Sorry, can't do the surname. I've also got a lot to say about Linda over at Diva, but I've also had, I've had mixed reactions. Some people that I've worked for in the past have started spotlighting articles because they don't care whether I'm divisive or not. They just want the clicks. But if I had a magic wand and I could remove all the articles I've ever written, I'd probably remove half of them. But one of the things that I loved when I was writing back then was that young women, so sort of 18 plus, would use these articles. They'd share them on their social media. One of them would be like, why lesbians are like cats, or 7 times Taylor Swift set off our gaydar, or just nonsense like that. But they were like what I call bubblegum articles. So every time I tried to submit something that was actually journalistic, it wouldn't get published. But those ones, they'd always get published. They were full of gifs and in jokes and jargon and all the rest of it. Anyway, they'd share them as a kind of precursor to coming out. They'd share the articles on their social media, and if they got comments that said, are you gay or something, they'd go, oh no, I just really like the writer, like the author, the person who wrote it, EJ Rosetta. But they'd sometimes message me privately, and obviously the first thing I'd say is, are you over 18? Because I felt quite uncomfortable if they weren't. But I loved that. I thought, do you know what, if I had something like that when I was coming out, just to sort of put a little feeler out there as to how your family would react if you did come out as gay. And that's why I liked writing articles like that. That's
Spiffing. EJ, you've literally just rambled on, not realising that you're walking yourself into a massive trap.
Have I? Oh, good.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have done. EJ, do you have an NUJ press card? Have you ever had an NUJ press card?
Probably not. I've had a few cards in my life, but I don't really look at them. They're all in a box in my cupboard.
Excuse me. Sorry. No, an NUJ is the National Union of Journalists.
I wouldn't say so.
What do you mean you wouldn't say so? There's a massive application process to go through it. I've got one. Owen Jones has got one. Whoever you like or dislike within this has one. If you are someone that is professionally employed as a reporter, a writer, or a journalist, you would have a press card. And I know that you don't have a press card. I also know everything that you've written. I also know everything that you've written.
Yep.
And I also know that I flagged up when you wrote your bullshit J.K. Rowling article. I flagged it up to a very large amount of women in this industry of here's red flags. This person is a liar, a bullshitter, and a grifter. And I have the fucking receipts that you are. So have a lovely day and don't threaten people's kids.
Thank you very much, Scott, for coming along. I love it when men come and threaten women. I think you punch yourself in the balls whenever you do that. I've never claimed to be only a journalist. I've always said I'm a clickbait writer or an opinion writer or an LGBTQ writer. The key word there being writer, because when I was training to be a journalist, I quit college and became a chef instead. Now I failed at that as well, but I turned out I ended up writing for a living. I've also debated at Cambridge University on the merit of an opinion piece I wrote. So I'm not sat here claiming to be a full-time journalist. I'm a writer. Hope that helps. And by all means, kick yourself in the balls, you misogynistic fuck.
Well, that happened. Do we have any more speakers?
I'd like to speak. I've been waiting for a while.
Who's that?
This is I Stand with Amber Heard.
I call that.
Oh yes, sorry, you didn't have your hand up. Go ahead.
I actually don't know how to put my hand up. I requested the mic, but I don't see any icon to have and leave my hand up.
If you press the emoji button, the heart with a little plus on the right-hand side, there should be a hand up.
Oh, I see it. Yes. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Go for it.
Thank you. A lot of people have come to the space and laid into you, EJ. Fewer people have shown concern, and I think that we all have a reason to be concerned. So I just wanted to ask you if you're okay. That was my only question.
Thank you. I don't want to Meghan Markle you here, but no one's asked me that, so thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you. I've got some good people around me, and I limit my Twitter time, except for today, to less than an hour. So thank you very much for asking. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for asking. I heard that you mentioned earlier that you were grieving a friend, and I'm going through that right now myself. So, you know, I empathize with you.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry for yours as well.
Thank you. I've followed you. Maybe we can DM and remember our loved ones.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thanks for letting me speak.
Right. I'm nervous, but who's up next? I'm adding some speakers. Sorry, I've just seen there were some requests. I'm not kidding when I'm saying I'm new at Spaces. I don't see any hands up, but there are now some new speakers. So come on in, introduce yourselves, say hi. Randy, I can see your hand up. Come on in. Hi, welcome. Well, that wasn't very nice, Billy. Anything else to say? I thought so. That would be the oh, I'm pretty sure you'd send us a dick pic, but it would be embarrassing for everyone, including yourself. So I'm going to remove you from speakers. Thanks so much for playing. Jessica, come on in. Welcome.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great.
Hi.
Hiya. Look, I'm really sympathetic to you with everything that's going on. I think the thing that you need to understand is that the reason women are so upset is that all of the ways in which you've gone for people are all the ways in which people always go for women. They're all these misogynist attacks, attacking a woman for her looks, saying that her husband is sexually attracted to you, threatening to expose her children, saying that women who question how you spend charitable donations need to get laid, or that they remind you of your mother. These are all of the oldest ways that people attack women, and it's not the way that women should.
It's my truth, Jessica. But it's my truth.
If someone asks you how you're going to spend money that's been donated to you, saying you need to get laid.
Okay, so I not donate. I spend £300 a month helping people who cannot access services that are already existing, namely addicts and alcoholics, because the minute they do, they're put on the record as addicts and alcoholics. They then lose their jobs, they lose their kids, they lose their housing. So I myself, as a recovered addict, 3 years, 8 months, 2 weeks and so many days clean, I've come across a lot of these women, and they say to me, because I'm on the record as an addict,
this is completely beside the point. You're speaking over me as you have. You're speaking over me as you have.
They can't access the same services as you can, because they'll immediately, once they've said that the truth, which is that they're struggling with addiction, they lose everything. So I have been for years. I don't need much in life. Like I said, I need a roof over my head and food in my fridge. Anything extra goes on outreach for women. Now I know that's sexist and I'm a bigot because it doesn't include men, does it? But I've been doing that for years. I totted up the amount of offers I'd had in the last sort of 2 months, and it was over £5,000. I didn't take a single one of those offers because I felt that was grubby. And if I did take any of those offers, there was 3. There was one that was Julie Bindle, because she's one of my personal heroines, whatever you want to say. The other one was Andrew Doyle, for many reasons, but the main one was that people were saying that I was J.K. Rowling in disguise. So I was like, what better way, even though I'm shy, than to go on live television and not be J.K. Rowling. So I did that. And the third one, what was the GB News? Julie Bindel. The Scotsman. That's it. I wrote for the Scotsman. I wrote the article for the Scotsman, which was just littered with Harry Potter puns. They offered me a very generous amount of money. They paid their contributors handsomely, but I asked for a donation to be made to Byron's Place. Now, if I was after money, I wouldn't have done any of those things, would I? I'd have basked in the money and I'd have done all that, but I haven't. I have a day job. That day job is that I'm a trained chef, and when I can, it's only part time, unfortunately, because the pub is quite a quiet one. But I have £300 left over, and instead of spending that on scented candles and eyebrow waxing or whatever the hell it is I'm supposed to do as a woman, I spend that on like help for women that, like me, are recovering addicts who can't go on record as recovering addicts, otherwise they'd lose everything. It's a bit of a gap in the system, but I do what I can. Whether it's, hey, I ask the question, I say, what do you need? And they go, I need money. And I go, well, I'm not going to send an addict money. What else do you need? And they say, I need somewhere to stay tonight. So I book them an Airbnb. And then I phone all the charities and I'm like, can you come over, please? But yeah, it's a tricky situation, and it keeps me very busy. But that, in my eyes, is like real help for real women. Fault me all you like, but I'm going to keep doing it because...
Understood.
Yeah.
And helping people is definitely great. I do have a quick question on that, though. When you say that you're sort of helping people bypass a system that outs them as addicts and allows them to keep their jobs, what happens if someone is in a job where them being an addict could hinder their job performance or put someone in danger? Do you have a vetting process for the people
In
that
that
you allow to
case,
bypass this?
yeah, in that case, I make a report. I've made many reports, and I get really torn about it because I know that person is then never going to trust me again. But obviously, if they work in, for example, a nursing home or a care centre, and they've told me that, I have to do something about it.
But what if they don't disclose? Do you help people bypass without them disclosing where they work? Do you verify where they work?
The last person was a Muslim woman who was she lives in Canada, and she was trapped in a house that her parents had a tenant of the house who was raping her. I managed to get she managed to get herself into a youth centre, and I just sent her a care package, which was, it cost me £60, which is not that much, just to send her some, like, I said, what's your favourite kind of sweets? Chocolate. And I sent her a Harry Potter book. And I know that's not much, but it's something.
No, it's definitely something.
That's the best I can do. But mostly I signpost to different charities. But it is quite a sensitive thing, being an addict, because you lose your kids, you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose everything.
No, I completely understand, but there are many instances where addicts definitely do, for a time, need to lose custody of their children or possibly lose their jobs. I understand that it's not a great thing, but being an addict is quite complicated, as you well know, as someone who's recovering. So it's just one of those things where I want to make sure that safeguards are in place and that you're not enabling people to bypass systems that are there for a reason. But that's enough from me there. We've got some hands up. I'm going to move on to the next speaker, if that's okay.
Good point,
I see.
And I'd love your advice sometime. Maybe next time I get someone cross my path who needs help, and I've got a sort of dilemma of what to do. Maybe I can ask you, because it sounds like you'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Maybe not. I kind of have the patience of a sinning lesbian in church, so I'm not really good at advice.
Okay.
But our next speaker is Fionn. So Fionn, go ahead, take the floor.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hi. I just want to. I kind of got two things to say. I just want to come in quickly with what Pat Appleby said at the start. I'm a trans-identified man, so to speak, and I think your friend will be so deep in the ideology that I hate to say it like this, but like you should tread carefully, but watch and not worry too much because if you lose them as a friend, you'll probably gain 5 more women and 5 times more respect for like women's rights by watching this situation. I get that in real life it can be intimidating knowing that how gender ideology has kind of taken such power so quickly. The next thing I want to say is, EJ, it's just there's been so many inconsistencies just in this chat. 1 minute you're disabled and have to stay at home most of the time. The next minute you're a trust fund kid, and then you work part-time as a chef. And you have said to me in DMs that you're a journalist. So there's just I literally think you are just actually fishing for responses that are angry and
No, I just want a nuanced life like everyone else.
paired next to your sob story. You're trying to do something with people who identify as GC, or I don't know. You're here fishing. You're fishing for things.
No, I'm not. I'm a simple lesbian with a Twitter account.
No, you're not, and you've got a sob story for everything, and it's
not
just
sob story. I was genuinely sexually assaulted.
yeah. Well, every feminist here might have to do the believe her person quote. I don't agree with that.
You can't
No,
say I completely sympathise because you. I mean, maybe you have been in
when I saw everyone giving you like a hard
no.
time at the start of all this, I was like, well, she's just a former TRA. You know, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. As a trans
Not
person who speaks about this,
never a TRA, not once.
You said you were a former one, and
I
so
said trans. I said I was a trans ally and an advocate, not
okay,
activist.
well, same thing, but I was like, okay, well,
tell you what, unfortunately, you've blocked me, so you've in that way you've already removed me from your life, so I'll do you the favour of respecting that wish.
EJ,
next.
EJ, that's not necessary.
Exist. You've got your hand up. Come on in. Welcome.
Hello. I've been very disappointed by your behaviour today. I haven't come across you behaving in that way before, and it's
great.
Absolutely.
Would you like to talk about being a TERF, or would you like to attack me?
No, I just wanted to communicate to you that I'm disappointed with you.
Okay. Well, the tweet is now deleted. I've apologised.
The thing that I'm really asking about is I question what you said about your fund being for the help of addicts.
Not just addicts, women.
Everybody knows that there's plenty of AA meetings and NA meetings, Narcotics Anonymous meetings, where your name does not have to be told.
Yep.
And many professionals go to them.
As do I.
Often, you know, they go to different towns even because they're scared of bumping into a patient or something, maybe. You know, whatever. No, you know, it may be that they shouldn't be practicing, but in any case, at least they're getting help, which is better than no help, one might argue. However, you seem to be saying that they can't get any help at all. But by definition, these meetings are anonymous, something that's usually respected. So I don't really get that. If they were seeking help from government, the government's put quite a lot of money into this area. As you're probably aware, it's actually pretty easy to get
Well,
either
Narcotics Anonymous and
self-referred.
Alcoholics Anonymous
Can I
is
just carry on?
the only
Either
free
self,
option, therefore
I,
making it the primary option.
wait,
It's
I
the
haven't
only
finished.
anonymous option, therefore
I
making it
haven't,
the primary option.
I haven't
So,
finished.
okay.
Um,
Sorry, you tell
so
me,
you can either,
you, not an addict, tell me what it's like an
you
addict
don't know
to not
whether
be
I
an addict
am or
about being an
not,
addict.
I
Please go
guess,
ahead.
because I haven't said, have I? Anyway, for one reason or another, I know about the process. Now, it's easy to self-refer yourself or to get your GP to refer you to one of the many, buildings around the country that have got drug services for addicts and alcoholics. And, for England, for the NHS, for emotional problems, it's pretty good, There's
My
quite a
eight
lot of money in it.
dead
Now,
friends would disagree with
I
you.
haven't finished. Now, obviously, if you go to one of those services, your GP would find out, right? They would let the GP know if they felt there were safeguarding issues with your own children, or if you're a professional, would inform your GP or the practice, the council of, the General Medical Council or whatever. So, I can see that some people might be put off doing that, but there's still the anonymous services. If they were in a position to be a professional, they could also take on, private therapy where they would perhaps, not necessarily.
With what money?
Well, if they were, in danger.
If they spoke to a GP, they'd get therapy, but they can't do that because they're getting their job taken away from them.
They do
so
that?
it's a bit of a conundrum.
Why can't they do that?
Because of the stigma around addiction. Here's the stats: out of 100 people,
no, wait a minute. Not stigma.
Who try and get clean,
not stigma.
6% manage it.
Because
Only
GPs
6 out of
will
100
not.
people who try to get clean manage to get clean. That makes me a miracle. And the other 5 people in that group of 100, the study was done in 2019, so maybe it needs to be done again. But obviously, it's
I haven't
an
finished.
anonymous study. But these are all people who have, neither have I. These are all people who have approached recovery without going through their GPs or their doctors or a professional service because of the risks associated and the
well, as I said, there's plenty of anonymous services
with having an addiction.
And AA and NA have been shown to be some of the most successful services available.
If you haven't had an addiction,
and
you don't.
The paid services make use of the 12-step program techniques
and your job, and then you're an addict forever.
If it's appropriate to have your children put into temporary care, then that's the decision that's being made. Are you trying to protect addicts above their children? That's all I'm saying.
No, not at all. Not at all. I know who's had 9
kids. It doesn't
seem
to make sense what you're saying.
She doesn't have custody of any of those children. And I mean, I wouldn't say it to her face, but I support that because she's a serial relapser. And she said to me, the only time I can stay clean is when I'm pregnant. And so maybe I'm speculating here, but maybe she's got an addiction to being pregnant. But yeah, 9 kids.
Can I just say the last thing I was going to say?
Sure, go ahead.
I do know women who've had their children taken away due to these circumstances, and wherever possible, they do try to, for instance, leave the children, say with the father, if the father's, sober, drug-free or whatever, and the woman moves out until she's better, and then she will be allowed to re-enter the family home, or they would go with grandparents or something, because that's obviously in the best interest of the child, not to mention the family as a whole.
Of course, but do you know how long it takes to get better?
It just doesn't ring true, the whole story that you're saying doesn't ring true. It really doesn't.
Which one?
That's my observation. About funding women to overcome addiction. Because it doesn't sound like anything I've ever come across.
I could send you screenshots of all the times I've like paid for Airbnbs or shopping, like Deliveroo, just sort of sending whatever. I wouldn't obviously send just money because that's
you do realise that, you know, helping people out in random fashion is not something that, you know, a 12-step program would recommend. You know, because you basically
because I met them on 12-step meetings.
Well, you know, getting
have you
someone
been to a
an
12-step meeting?
Airbnb, getting someone an Airbnb because they've got
my friend is now dead because she had 5 kids with a man who ended up breaking one of her ribs, and when she went to the hospital, they noticed that she had needle marks. They almost, you know, sort of had her down as an addict, put it on her paperwork, and she ran because she didn't want to be seen as an addict, because that comes with a lot of stigma, not only socially but in health and health insurance, even in America. Like, you know, whether you've been addicted for 1 year or 3 years or a lifetime, it makes a massive difference. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna play the addiction card. If you haven't been an addict, you don't know what the implications are. That woman who tried to go and get help when her partner broke her ribs is now dead because she didn't feel able to help, to like go and get help. And the day that she died, because we went to school together, I'd known her since I was 12, 13. On that day, I made a vow that I would help any woman that crossed my path, because I believe in signs, with my own money. And so yeah, I wouldn't say it's a charity, because, you know, that takes a lot of different things, but I would say it's a fund, mainly funded by me.
We've got another hand up, and I just noticed we're going over the half hour, so if you wanted to get everyone in before
Okay, cool. Let's.
Oh, yeah. So no, I had a hand up. So I'm just trying to understand.
One more hand, and then I'll. If that's all right, do my closing.
Sorry, I can't quite hear what you're saying, AJ. I missed what you were saying. I heard a bit of a fragment of what you said, but I'm not sure what. I don't know what I had to dial out a bit, and now I'm back in. What's the half-hour issue?
AJ, if you're still speaking, I don't think most people can hear you.
Oh, damn. Maybe
I can hear you now. I just wanted to ask you about the addiction point. Because are you basically saying that, you know, once an addict, always an addict? That it's not possible. Are you saying it's not possible to overcome this, being an addict?
EJ, we can't hear you again.
Oh, she's on mute. I don't think that addiction is an excuse for treating people badly. That's why I wanted to step in. I'm still hearing you a bit fragmented. I just wanted to say a bit about addiction, and I've been addicted to something. It wasn't a substance, but it was. I was addicted to gambling for about 2 years, and nobody should have trusted me with money. I think that if you're still in the throes of addiction, it's a really bad time to be processing money for other people, handing out cash sort of without conditions. I think those are the reasons why people are very cautious about, you know, money for women with addictions.
Yeah, that's why I don't
because
hand them
it's not
cash.
necessarily.
I don't give anyone money. I pay for things like Yep, you're teaching me to.
But then you Yeah, but do you not understand? I mean, the issues around it,
I'll say
because
send me a
one reason why
shopping
people
list.
prefer the pay. Can I
Okay,
just speak?
I'm
Sorry. One
sorry.
reason why people
Yeah,
like pay me,
I
like the
understand
buy me a coffee sort of
the
thing, is
issue.
because you can see how much people have donated. And so, if you're just asking, the trouble with getting people to send money on a cash app is nobody knows how much money's going in. There isn't accountability. You need accountability when you're raising funds. But the trouble is, and it becomes another reason for people to distrust you if you're publicly asking for money, but you won't publicly explain what you're going to spend it on and how you're spending it. And all this insisting on offering up your private email address. That's forcing people to email you and potentially, revealing their identity. So I think this has been part of the problem and the unraveling of the last couple of days. Yeah, carry on.
EJ, you're cutting out so badly.
But and I just want to add the thing though, is like if you think about, that you obviously found like feel you've been unfairly treated, but in terms of also building up trust, it's like, so okay, you've made various comments that Posie Parker's husband was looking at your tits, but you also then sent messages to a man who is so overtly gay that his user ID is UK homosexual, and accused him of exactly the same thing. So immediately people are not going to believe. You must be able to see that means people are not going to believe that you necessarily were in any way sort of, leched over by Posie's husband if you're accusing a very overtly gay man of the same thing. And I don't know. I don't know where you're
at. I left that up for 13 minutes. And so, yeah, you're obviously paying attention that much for 13 minutes. Not just addicts, women in general, and girls, consider anyone under the age of 25. Sorry, between the age of 18 and 25, I'd say that's still quite young. But yeah, I donate my time and £300 a month to helping people who cannot access certain services. I don't do so by giving them money. I do so by, paying for a food shop, or if they're in a domestic violence situation and can't go into a shelter, I'll try and signpost them to shelters. But if they won't go, I'd prefer that they don't get their rib cracked and be killed. So yeah, that's just
EJ,
yeah. I'm going to finish now because it's now 38 minutes past. Do you want to say a closing thing, Tiffany?
I think this, are you sure you want to close now? Because there are still hands up, but if you're sure.
I'm positive, just because it's been 2.5 hours and 9 o'clock is my bedtime.
Okay, got it. Well, then I just have one more point to make about the last bit that you were talking about with regards to giving money to people. I have a younger sister with schizophrenia. She asks for money all the time, but what she does is she asks for money from multiple people in our family. Because she's also suffering with drug addiction as well. When you're giving people money to buy groceries or get an Airbnb, if they're already getting money from someone else to do that, what do you think they're doing with the spare money? If they're suffering with addiction and you're giving them extra funds, you can't be there in their pockets. If you are enabling people to continue their addiction, I don't know that that's necessarily helpful. Even if you're not giving them cash, the cash that they could be getting from other places, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll take that on board, and thank you for your concern. But it's my money, and I'll do what I like with it. And I can only work part-time.
Of course, it's just a thought.
Yeah, I don't ever give like cash.
No, that's good.
If they say to me like I don't, one of them, like sometimes it's like, I don't have any tampons, and I'm like, well, I'll send you some. Do you also want some body wash and some soap? Because if you've got a shower, then yeah. Anyway, dignity is more important to me than me having a scented candle that week. Right.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you so much for everyone who came today to TERFs Anonymous. This recording will be available the moment I press end. So please be aware if you've spoken that those words can be sort of listened to. However, I do ask that no one quote from that anyone. Don't use anyone else's words without their permission. You can contact them and ask them if they want to comment. Same with me, but please don't use anyone's words without their permission. Basically, don't be a dick. Right. My closing words, as usual. There is a wishing well, and in it are the discarded lives of every person in the world who, just like you, no longer want their lot in life. They have come to the wishing well, just like you, and have traded in their lives and picked out another one. The life
Are you
could
still there? I
be
can't hear you.
a starving child from Uganda. It could be a young Muslim who is about to be married to a man twice her age against her will. Oh, damn it, again. I'll start myself. Every person in the world like I want their lot in life. They have come to the wishing well, just like you, to trade in their lives and pick out another one. The life could be a starving child from Uganda. It could be a young Muslim woman who is about to be married to a well. It could be a rich American man who has all your problems, your lot in life, and into the wishing. Get a different